2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment I've come to know.
He was the internet's favorite punchline, the man everyone loved to mock. His meltdowns, his chaos, his fast food feasts, all became the soundtrack of YouTube's dark humor era. But 1 year later, the world realized something no one saw coming. Nicocado Avocado had been 2 steps ahead the entire time. What everyone thought was a downfall turned out to be a masterclass in manipulation. He played the role so well that millions believed the act, until the curtain dropped and the truth was revealed. The man they laughed at had just pulled off one of the greatest plot twists in YouTube history. So how did he do it? How did a creator once dismissed as a cautionary tale turn the entire internet into part of his performance, even earning praise from his harshest critics? Today, we're breaking down the story of Nicocado Avocado, how he fooled millions, redeemed himself in front of the same audience that canceled him, and why his final act might be the most unexpected twist yet. But first, let's rewind to where it all began. Before he became a viral spectacle, Nicocado Avocado was just Nicholas Perry, a soft-spoken musician who poured his soul into classical violin performances and vegan recipes. Back in 2014, his videos were calm, thoughtful, and filled with warmth. He talked about health, art, and positivity, the complete opposite of the chaotic character the world would later come to know. But that version of Nick didn't last long. By 2016, his life and his channel took a drastic turn. He renounced veganism after struggling with health issues and feeling alienated by what he described as the toxic side of the vegan community. And from that moment, his content shifted from quiet creativity to loud excess. The mukbangs got bigger. The portions turned ridiculous. Each thumbnail looked like a parody of gluttony. Mountains of fast food, gallons of cheese, piles of fried chicken. But behind the laughter and the spectacle, something else was happening. His weight skyrocketed, his tone changed, and his mental state, at least from what audiences could see, started to crumble on camera. He cried, screamed, and staged arguments that blurred the line between entertainment and breakdown. People couldn't tell what was real anymore, and that only made the views climb higher. Each outburst, each meltdown, each "I'm done with YouTube" video became part of an ongoing circus, one that audiences couldn't look away from. Comments flooded in from people calling him a train wreck and a life lesson, saying things like, "Whenever I feel bad about my own choices, I watch Nicocado, and suddenly I feel better." What used to be sympathy turned into mockery. What used to be concern turned into content. And through it all, Nick seemed to double down. Every reaction, every insult, every piece of online hate, he amplified it. He fed it. The more people ridiculed him, the more outrageous he became. Until eventually, Nicocado Avocado wasn't a person anymore. He was a performance. But what no one realized then was that this chaos wasn't random. It was part of something much bigger, a plan that had been in motion for years. And when the reveal finally came, it would shock the entire internet. On September 7th, 2024, Nicocado Avocado posted a video titled 2 Steps Ahead. The thumbnail looked strange, simple, almost calm, nothing like his usual screaming chaos. For longtime viewers, it seemed like just another one of his dramatic stunts. But the moment the video began, everyone knew this was different. The screen faded in. His voice was calm, confident, hauntingly deliberate. 2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. Then the camera panned out. The man on screen wasn't the same Nicocado the world had come to mock. Gone were the bloated cheeks and the out-of-control persona. In his place was someone leaner, sharper, and eerily composed. It didn't even seem possible. Yet, there he was, standing before millions, completely transformed. Within minutes, the video flipped the internet upside down. He revealed he had lost over 250 pounds, hinting that the entire chaotic era of his channel had been a carefully crafted act. He described it as the greatest social experiment of my life, claiming he had deliberately built the image of a villain to prove how easily the internet can be manipulated by emotion and spectacle. People who once mocked him were suddenly in awe. Comment sections flooded with disbelief. Even creators who had criticized him for years, including Charlie, Moist Car 1 Thai KL, couldn't help but give him credit, calling it one of the most unexpected reveals in YouTube history. It wasn't just the transformation that stunned people, it was the control. Every meltdown, every tear, every ridiculous thumbnail. It all started to look like part of a bigger picture. He'd played the fool to perfection. And then, when the world thought it had him figured out, he flipped the entire narrative in one video. But how did he pull it off? How did someone so publicly out of control manage to plan something this precise? For years, without anyone noticing? The answer was hidden behind the scenes, in a secret plan that would only come to light months later. When the world was busy laughing at Nicocado's breakdowns, he was quietly building a plan that would outsmart everyone. A plan that began nearly 2 years before the reveal. While fans thought he was spiraling deeper into chaos, Nick was actually working in silence. He pre-recorded 2 full years of mukbang videos, carefully timed and scheduled to upload automatically. Every over-the-top meal, every emotional outburst, every bizarre meltdown was part of that preloaded archive, a facade designed to keep the illusion alive while the real Nick disappeared behind the curtain. During those 2 years, away from the internet's eyes, he began the transformation. He started a strict diet, lost over 250 pounds, and rebuilt himself physically and mentally. His old content kept uploading like clockwork, tricking everyone into thinking he was still stuck in the same destructive loop. In reality, he was changing everything about his life, and it wasn't luck, it was theater. Nick had training in acting and performance long before YouTube fame. He once dreamed of being on Broadway, and when that dream didn't materialize, he found his own stage online. The Nicocado Avocado character, the loud, unstable fast food addict, was his most successful role yet. He later admitted that the transformation was intentional. The weight gain, the chaos, the tears, it was all part of what he called a method performance. He knew that physical extremes grab attention. He knew that when a person looks out of control, the internet can't look away. He understood the psychology of spectacle, and he used it. For him, it wasn't just about shock value. It was about control. By appearing to lose control, he gained it. He blurred the line between reality and performance so well that even his harshest critics couldn't tell where the character ended and the real Nick began. Then, when the timing was perfect, after the world had completely written him off, he re-emerged to deliver the reveal. 2 years of deception condensed into one 10-minute video. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a revelation. That everything people thought they knew about him was a lie. But this new, calmer Nicocado wasn't done yet. Because what came after his reveal wasn't just a transformation of his body. It was a redemption arc that no one saw coming. And for once, the internet wasn't laughing. When Nicocado Avocado stepped back into the spotlight, it wasn't just the number on the scale that had changed. It was everything. The man who once screamed into the camera, surrounded by empty food containers, now spoke softly, clearly, with an almost eerie calm. The chaos was gone. For the first time in years, he looked healthy. He revealed that his transformation had taken over 800 days, more than 2 years of discipline, recovery, and silence. The world had watched an illusion while he lived the reality off camera. When he finally showed the results, the internet couldn't believe it. Comments that once ridiculed him turned into admiration. People called it the greatest redemption arc in YouTube history. But Nick didn't stop there. In early 2025, he began undergoing a series of surgeries to remove the loose skin left after losing so much weight. Procedures that proved he was serious about keeping this new lifestyle. In January, he had surgery to tighten the skin around his face and neck. In February, a 360-degree body lift removed 10 pounds of excess skin. By March, he'd gone through another round of surgeries, a torso lift and a thigh lift, all to finish the transformation he had started years before. Each update shocked people again, not because of vanity, but because it showed commitment. For years, viewers had pegged him as a man addicted to destruction, someone who couldn't stop spiraling. But now, that same person was documenting a fight for control, for health, for a life beyond YouTube. Yet even with his new body and mindset, something felt different. His uploads slowed, from weekly chaos to just one video every month or two. He seemed done, like the curtain had fallen, and the actor behind Nicocado Avocado was ready to leave the stage for good. He even tried stepping out from the screen and into the real world, announcing a live tour where fans could meet him, hear about his weight loss, and experience a live mukbang. But when May 2025 arrived, the tour was quietly canceled. Fans were refunded. Reports surfaced that only a handful of tickets had sold per city. It was clear the character that had once dominated YouTube wasn't built for real life. And for Nick, that might have been the moment he realized the Nicocado persona had served its purpose. He'd used it to build fame, fortune, and attention. And now, it was time to let it go. But before fading away completely, he did something unexpected. Something that reignited old flames and reopened one of the darkest chapters in his career. He decided to confront his past. Just when everyone thought Nicocado Avocado had closed the final chapter of his story, he reopened an old wound, one that nearly destroyed his reputation years earlier. Out of nowhere, he revisited the Stephanie Sue controversy, a drama most of the internet had buried and moved on from. Back in 2019, Nicocado and fellow mukbanger Stephanie Sue had filmed a collaboration video together with another creator, Zach Choi. On camera, everything seemed fine, friendly even. But only days later, Stephanie uploaded a tearful expose claiming that Nicocado had manipulated her, pressured her into discussing sensitive topics, and made her feel unsafe. Her emotional delivery, trembling voice, breaking down mid-sentence, painted Nick as a villain who preyed on vulnerability. The internet didn't hesitate to pick a side. Almost overnight, Nicocado became one of the most hated creators on the platform. Comment sections were brutal. "You're disgusting. You're a manipulator. This man is pure evil." No matter what he said, no one believed him. The damage was done. Fast forward to 2025. With his image reborn and the world finally seeing him as a man who had changed, Nick decided it was time to tell his side. His new video opened not with rage but restraint. His tone was calm, measured, not defensive, just deliberate. He began by saying that Stephanie's story wasn't just exaggerated, it was fictionalized. "She told the internet about our interaction as if it were a true crime documentary," he said, explaining that they'd only met once before the collaboration and were hardly friends. He went on to accuse her of deceptive editing, of cutting clips to make him look threatening, even implying she'd used her acting skills to fake emotion for sympathy. But then, in a surprising moment of honesty, he admitted fault. "I was immature. I was unprofessional. I was wrong." He apologized directly to her for making her uncomfortable, acknowledging that she didn't owe him anything and that he had crossed a line trying to push her into a topic she didn't want to discuss. It was the first time the internet had ever heard accountability from him. And it changed everything. The same viewers who once condemned him were now defending him. Comments poured in saying things like, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but Nicocado handled this like an adult." Even critics admitted that his version of events sounded more grounded, more logical, maybe even more believable than Stephanie's original claims. Stephanie, on the other hand, stayed silent. No response, no follow-up, no denial. And in the silence, Nick's version became the accepted story. It felt like closure, or maybe strategy. Because whether he meant to or not, Nicocado had done it again, turned controversy into content and pain into power. But beneath the calm explanations and polished delivery, one question still lingered. Was this genuine redemption, or just the final act of a perfectly written script? If you look closely, every part of Nicocado Avocado's story feels like it was written for a stage. The chaos, the downfall, the transformation, even his redemption. Each moment perfectly timed, perfectly exaggerated, perfectly cinematic. And that's what makes it so hard to tell whether we ever saw the real Nick Perry, or just his best performance yet. His catchphrase, "2 steps ahead," wasn't just a brag, it was a blueprint. He'd been studying how the internet reacts for years. He knew that outrage travels faster than empathy, that people are drawn to tragedy more than triumph. He knew that the louder he screamed, the faster his channel grew. And when the noise finally peaked, he went silent, letting curiosity do the rest. In a way, Nicocado didn't just manipulate the algorithm. He exposed it. He showed that being real online doesn't mean being authentic. It means being believable. And if you can make people believe your story, you don't need the truth. Every time viewers thought they understood him, he flipped the narrative. When people pitied him, he mocked them. When they hated him, he fed off it. And when they finally gave up on him, that's when he revealed the masterpiece, hiding behind the madness. But there's something darker underneath that genius. Because if all of it was a performance, then every tear, every breakdown, every moment of self-destruction was staged for entertainment. The chaos we laughed at wasn't just theater. It was a mirror. A reflection of how easily the internet consumes human suffering as content. Nicocado blurred that line so completely that no one knows which version to believe anymore. Was he ever the victim of his own fame? Or was he simply showing us what we wanted to see? The rise and fall of a digital villain, crafted for clicks. Maybe that's the real message behind 2 steps ahead. That in a world addicted to outrage and spectacle, the smartest move isn't staying real. It's staying unpredictable. But if that's true, then one question still remains. When the performance ends, who's left behind the mask? And that's what leads us to the final chapter of his story, where the actor, the audience, and the algorithm all collide. 1 year after his grand reveal, the noise around Nicocado Avocado has quieted. Almost too much. The man who once uploaded daily is now a ghost, appearing only once every month or two, if at all. His old content loops endlessly in reaction videos, compilations, and commentary essays. But the man himself? He's barely there. It's almost poetic. After years of being the internet's loudest voice, Nicocado's silence says more than words ever could. The character who lived off excess and spectacle is gone, replaced by someone who seems to crave stillness. His surgeries are finished, his transformation complete, and his message delivered. The final act of his story isn't another explosion. It's the fade out. Some believe he's walking away for good, that he's earned his peace after playing the villain for so long. Others think this disappearance is just another calculated move, a setup for the ultimate return. After all, if 2 steps ahead taught us anything, it's that Nicocado never moves without a plan. But maybe the truth is simpler. Maybe he finally got what he wanted. Not fame, not views, not chaos, but control. For the first time, he's not reacting to the internet. He's ignoring it. Still, there's a strange power in the mystery he's left behind. Because every time someone mentions his name, every time a new video breaks down his social experiment, the legend grows. And maybe that's exactly how he wanted it. Nicocado Avocado started as a musician, became a meme, and ended as a myth. The man who turned his downfall into art and made the world question what's real. He didn't just beat the algorithm, he became it. And as the curtain finally closes, one thing's for sure. Whether you loved him or hated him, you couldn't stop watching. Because deep down, everyone wanted to know just how many steps ahead he really was. In the end, Nicocado Avocado's story isn't just about one man's transformation. It's about the audience that watched it happen. It's about how millions of people turned a stranger's pain into entertainment, and how that stranger turned the tables by making their obsession his masterpiece. What started as chaos became commentary. Every meltdown, every absurd thumbnail, every tear-streaked moment was part of a larger performance, a mirror held up to the internet itself. Nicocado didn't just play a role. He exposed the script we all follow online. Outrage, judgment, redemption, repeat. Today, as his uploads fade and his presence dwindles, What remains is the legend of the man who fooled everyone, not out of malice, but mastery. He showed that fame isn't about talent or truth anymore. It's about attention. And in that game, no one played it better. So maybe the real twist isn't his weight loss, or his apology, or his silence. Maybe it's that he was never lost at all. Maybe Nicocado Avocado knew exactly who he was, an actor who found his stage, wrote his own script, and walked off before the applause stopped. Because in a world where everyone is performing for the algorithm, the greatest trick isn't pretending to be someone else. It's knowing when to stop the show